All right, face east. East 45 degrees. 5 fingers on the left, 2 on the right. You have to meet and wash the American prayer. Lord, Father of the universe.
Lord, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice.
And justice.
Lord's my protector.
Lord's my protector.
My God.
My God.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night. And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet. Through our leaders. Amen.
Amen.
All remain standing while we say praise and honors. First, I give praise to Allah. Great God of the universe. Honor to his holy and divine prophet. Prophet Noah through our leaders. Found in the Moore Science Temple of America. Honor to all true and divine prophets. Jesus. Muhammad. Buddha. Confucius. Etc. Give honor to the forward and to the prophet. Brother Marcus Scott. Give honor to all past, supreme, grand advisors and moderators. Of the Moore Science Temple of America Incorporated. Brother C. Curtin Bay. Brother Nelson Bay. Brother J. Baker Bay. Give honor to our former Grand Chief and moderator of the Moore Science Temple of America. Brother All of you. Give honor to our present Grand Chief. Who is the moderator. The Moore Science Temple of America Incorporated. Brother R. Jones Bay. To his assistant. Brother A. Hopkins Bay. Give honor to the National Chairman of the Moore Science Temple of America. Who is also the Grand Chief here at Temple 71. Washington, D.C. Brother P.J.C. Give honor to all national, state, and local officials. Of the Moore Science Temple of America Incorporated. Give honor to the Grand Governor of Washington, D.C. Brother H. Harris Bay. To his assistant. Sister D. Jones Bay. Give honor to all Sheikhs and members of the Moore Science Temple of America. Give honor to all auxiliaries of the Moore Science Temple of America. Give honor to both our flags. American flag. Flag of Alberta. Morse flag. Flag of DC. Give honor to our holy and divine charter. Give honor to the media team for doing a marvelous job passing the teachers of the topic, popping out throughout the world. I give honor to the media team. I give honor to the media team. Doing a marvelous job. Getting the proper teachers out throughout the world. Give honor to each and every one of you. Peace. This time I'll read from the Divine Constitutional Bylaws of the Moore Science Temple of America. Chapter 1. Act 1. Grand Chief of Governors and all temples, all businesses. He said temple must be approved by the proper new RV. Before acting upon by any member, that be finance, property, or any right to cause some member to sacrifice finance and set. Call supporting a group of members. And inform officers of the following these laws are subject to be removed from the office under heavy restriction, except by the proper or the Grand Chief. Thank you. Salvation of our unity. Moore Science Temple of America Divine Constitutional Bylaws. Act 1. Grand Chief and Chairman of the Moore Science Temple of America is empowered to make laws and enforce the laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of the Moore Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Chief is to assist the Grand Chief in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the members of the Moore Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed according to instruction 7 in love, arrest. Because on Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday, the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended into his Father God of law. That caused Friday the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. And 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the more scientific community. No members are put in danger or accused falsely in the brotherhood system on any occasion at all that may harm this brotherhood system, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must observe these holy and divine laws. All members must obey the laws of the government. Because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live your life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of these said government, but to obey thereby. Act 6. Request all members must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. They may know that they are a part and a partial of this said government, and though they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new world time now. All men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why the great God of the universe ordained you are leader prophet to redeem the people from their simple ways. Moorish Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabit the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial all uplifting acts of the Moorish Temple of America. Members must pay their dues, keep an eye on all necessities of the Moorish Temple of America, and you are entitled to the name of faith. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, be industrious, and become a part of the uplifting of all humanity. All Moorish Americans keep their hearts and minds filled with love and the bodies and with war. This divine covenant from the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of the Father, God of Allah. Noble Drew Ali founder, Moorish American president. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. More Scientific America. Home office mailing address, P.O. Box 388-7600, Armitage Drive, Greenbelt, Maryland 20760. We just had a meeting from the Divine Constitution bylaws in its entirety. Then we'll have a reading from the questionnaire and addition law more selected by the Prophet. Act 1. Grand chiefs, governors, heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet and the Quran. So acted upon by any member, that be financed properly, when in unlikely to cause for members, sacrifice, finance, etc., and will cause support in group of members. And the former officer by these laws is subjected to be removed from his office under heavy restrictions except by the Prophet or the Grand Chief. Act 2. All members are to attend the adapt meetings in the Prophet and the public meetings promptly. Members found standing around the meeting first shall be fined 50 cents on the first case. On the second, will be fined $1. Which will be a mercy fund. Members working as money dues must be paid. If they have money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the more publicity fund, because it takes finance and self-information. Act 3. It is lawful to bind due to every good member if he is able to finance and save the nation. If he does not, he is enemy of the cause of business on people. Justice must catch you. Only be his sheep for to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As I have power and justice in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law or to save the nation. Act 4. All members while making a public speech cannot use any insertion against the American flag or speak graphic against the church or any member of any organized group. Because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school. The teacher must confirm themselves to the questionnaire. And that every member exercises 5 cents in school they to do so. Because out when the Sunday school comes, the guidance of the nation. Act 6. Look first, all members must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. They may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. Because these things given slaves or slaveholders 1779, the last until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a newer time now. All men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government which to live in the nations of the earth. This is reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, proclaims no God is prophet to redeem the people in the simple ways. Most Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabit the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meeting and become a part and parcel of the acts of the Moor Science Temple. Members must pay due to keep an eye on all necessities of the Moor Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faith. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children. You got to do to your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the upfit and foreign marriage. All Moor Americans must keep their hearts and minds filled with love and guidance and reward. This is what I'm coming from the Holy Prophet known as you. Peace. Peace. This time, I'll read from Holy Koran and Moor Science Temple of America, Chapter 7, divinely prepared by the noble prophet through our lead, by the guidance of Father God Allah, great God of the universe, and lead man from the simple fallen stage of humanity back to the highest man life with the Father God Allah. I'll read from divine instruction from the Holy Prophet, chapter 25, the Holy Cover of the Age Nation. I'll read it in its entirety. Ye are the children of one father, the father provides care, and the breast of one mother has given you son. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite you with their brothers. And peace and happiness will dwell in your father's house. And ye separation in the world, remember relations divine, peace and love and unity, and defer not the strength before their own blood. The brothers in the mercy of sisters, and sisters in trouble forsake her not. So shall the fortune of your father contribute to for this whole race, which can be continued to you all, and your love to each other. Islam? Islam. Anybody downstairs out front? Islam? Islam. This time, let's take a minute of silence. We are lifting the body and breathing out those high level. Now, Allah. Islam. Islam. Our brother today, we call our instructor today. Our drone bay, Grand Chief Moderator from Los Angeles. Leaders in Sunday school and Koran class. Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the
Universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector. my God, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Praise the Lord. Islam.
Islam.
Okay, let us begin. Who made you?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where is the nearest place we can meet him?
In my heart.
Who is Noble Drew Ali?
He is Allah.
What is a prophet?
The prophet is the Lord of Allah manifested in the flesh.
What is the duty of a prophet?
To save nations from the wrath of Allah.
Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Noble Drew Ali.
What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America?
1913 AD.
Where?
Newark, New Jersey.
Where was Noble Drew Ali born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
What is his nationality?
Moorish American.
What is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish American?
Because of the citizens of Allah.
What purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
For the uplifting and fallen humanity.
How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish America?
By teaching them to be themselves.
What is our religion?
Islam is
Is that a new or is that the old time religion?
old time religion.
What kind of flag is it?
It's a red flag with 5-point green star in the center.
What do the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
How old is our flag?
It is over 10,000 years old.
Which is our holy day?
Friday.
Why?
Because Friday is the day in which man is formed in flesh and is unified and part by our flesh.
Who was Jesus?
He was the prophet of Allah.
Where was he born?
In Bethlehem of Judah in the house of David.
Who were his father and mother?
Joseph and Mary.
Will you give in brief the line genealogy through which Jesus came?
Some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are Abraham, Boaz, Ruth, Jesse, King, David, Solomon, Hezekiah, Joseph, and Mary.
Why did Allah send Jesus to this earth?
To save the Israelites from the iron and precious appearance of the nations who were in a portion of Palestine at that time.
How long has that been?
About 2,000 years ago.
What was the nationality of Ruth?
Ruth was a Moabite.
What is the modern name for Moabites?
Moroccans.
Where is the Moroccan Empire?
Northwestern Mexico.
What is the modern name for Mexico?
Africa.
What is the title given to our ruler in Morocco?
Sultan.
Where do we get the name Jesus?
From the east.
What does the name Jesus mean?
Jesus means justice.
Did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name?
Yes, but it cannot be used by those who are slaves to sin.
What is an angel?
An angel is the Lord of God manifested in human flesh.
What are angels used for?
To carry a message to the four corners of the world to all nations.
What is our prophet to us?
He is an angel of God, something that everlasting gospel of God.
What is the everlasting gospel?
It is the same power that comes from the mouth of our greatest powers by his prophet.
What is the covenant of the great God Allah?
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land which the Lord thy God hath given thee.
At what age did Jesus begin to teach?
At the age of 12,
Where did he teach?
India, Africa, Europe,
How long did he teach?
18 years.
What did Jesus say that would make you free?
The truth.
What is truth?
Truth is all.
What is
All is all.
can truth change?
Truth cannot change or pass away.
What other name do we give to truth?
Holy breath.
What have you to say about holy breath?
All we can say is great, it's good, was, it is, and never more to be. Amen.
In what place on earth was the physical form of man formed?
And God be,
Where is the Garden of Eden?
and the man came in the city of Mecca.
What is the modern name for the Garden of Eden?
Mecca.
What is the name of the first physical man?
His name cannot be used only by executive rules of the AC of the MSTA.
What are the words of AC of the MST of A?
That shame was more science than American American.
Who were Adam and Eve?
They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asian as fathers.
Where did they go?
They were to Asia.
What's the modern name given to their children?
Asiatics.
Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep the unbelievers away?
Asians.
What is the modern name for those angels?
Asiatics.
What is the shade of their skin?
Are
Are the Moorish Americans in relation to those angels?
we also
What are the Moorish Americans in relation to those angels?
yes, we all have a second father in life.
Give 5 names that are given to the descendants of Adam and Eve.
Lucifer, Satan, the devil, the beast.
What is the devil sometimes called?
Lord self.
How many cells are there?
Two.
Name them.
High self, Lord self.
What people represent the higher self?
Angels who tell the Holy City of matter.
What people represent the lower self?
Those who cast out the Holy City, those who accept the teaching.
What is the higher self?
I myself from other virtues and arms like life, release justice, right.
Can the higher self pass away?
No,
Why?
because it's our name.
What does the lower self breathe?
Hatred, slander, news, words, death, and everything that harms.
What did the higher self say to the lower self at one time when he met it?
Where are you going to say?
What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self?
I am going to and fro the earth, seeking my really bow.
Has he finished his task at the Father?
Yes.
When was his time declared out?
When he nailed Jesus on the cross.
What are the last words Jesus uttered?
It is finished.
What did he have reference to?
He had rested and saved.
Did Jesus say that he would return to conquer him?
Yes.
What is the name of the person into whom Jesus was first reincarnated?
Prophet Muhammad the Conqueror.
Was Satan to be bound then?
Satan was the bound and paused.
When was the head of Satan taken off?
1453 Byzantine.
By whom?
By Muhammad.
Name some of the marks that were put upon the Northwest by the European nations in 1774.
Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian.
Negro.
A name given to a river of West Africa by Moses because of the team that was.
What is meant by the word black?
Black for science means death.
What does the word colored mean?
Color means anything that's pain, stain, orange, black.
What does Ethiopia mean?
Ethiopian means bad.
Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian?
No,
Why?
because man's made in the image and act like as God.
What title does Satan give himself?
God.
Will you define the word white?
White means purity, purity means God. God means rule of the land.
To whom do we refer to at times as being the great God?
Allah.
Is the devil made in the image and likeness of Allah?
No, we should serve our Lord simply to pass away.
Who made the devil?
Elohim.
Who is Elohim?
Elohim himself creates spirits, created everything that was, is, and ever was to be.
What is Elohim sometimes called?
The 7 eyes of God.
How many days are in the circle?
7 days.
How many days are in a creation?
7 days.
According to science, how many days are in a year?
7 days.
All right. We talked about a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. And in this holy covenant, it informs us to do what? What does it, let me say it like this. In the holy covenant, what does it inspire you to do? It's a holy covenant. What does it inspire you to do?
Tell the truth.
Okay, that's, yeah. Stay connected. That's a very good observation. Stay connected. That's good. Become in unity with our brothers and sisters. That's right. What else? What else does it inspire you to do?
All our forefathers.
Honor our forefathers. That's right. That's right. What else does it do?
Learn to be yourself. Learn how to be yourself.
That's good. That's good. What else? What else? It's a holy covenant. It's a holy covenant. And a covenant is what? It's a what?
An agreement.
It's an agreement. And that agreement that we are making with who? With Allah. So it's very important that you be able to go into the inner workings of the holy covenant so that you can understand what you're agreeing to. Because if you don't know what you're agreeing to, you may be violating it. And that's no excuse. There are consequences for violating an agreement that you made with God. So we are talking about it. So again, what does it inspire you to do?
We are law-abiding citizens.
That's good. To be a law abiding, no question. What else does it inspire you to do? What does it inspire you to do?
Honor your brothers and sisters.
It does.
Learn to love that age.
Yes, it does. It does.
Be in harmony.
It does. But again, I'm asking you,
inwardly, what does it inspire you to do?
Be obedient.
Yes, be obedient, that's right. That's right.
Follow instructions.
Follow instructions, that's right.
Be more conscious of my lower self and my higher
There's no
self.
question being more conscious of your higher self and your lower self.
Mhm.
It also should inspire you to take another look at yourself. See, that inspiration should be geared towards your introspection of yourself. So therefore, if you're looking at yourself, you must be prepared to do what?
Accept.
Accept, yes, but before you accept, you must be prepared to do what?
Examine yourself.
Examine, no question. And the examination will come with you asking what? Questions. About who?
Self.
About yourself.
Mm.
Now the question is, what is a question that you would ask yourself?
Praise God.
Am I being what?
True.
Am I being true? That's good. What else? What else would you ask yourself?
Why am I hating?
Say it, Mom.
Why am I hating?
Why am I hating? That's a good question. Why am I hating? That's a good question. Come on.
It's saying, I'm trying to figure out what do he see in me?
I'm asking you, what question would you ask yourself?
Right.
What question would you ask yourself as you start to, I'll say it, as you start to study yourself? What kind of questions do you have for yourself?
I mean, I look at myself like, I'm trying to see what interest that probably have in me. So it must be a great interest.
Come on, brother.
I would say, am I being obedient?
Am I being obedient? That's right. But what else? That's a good one. But what else? Come on, Mom.
Like I asked myself, could I give myself a willing sacrifice to love my brothers and sisters, all of my brothers and sisters, not be picky, and choose it to do.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Come on, baby.
The agreement, the covenant that we agreed to, am I being sincere?
Yeah. Am I being sincere?
You know,
That's a good one.
you know, because I want to, I'm going to examine myself.
Right.
You understand? Am I being sincere about this?
That's right. That's right. That's
Am I
right.
being honest with myself?
That's right. That's right. That's
The
right.
step I'm taking, you know, like we be singing on Friday, you can't turn around.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you taking a step into something that you don't want to, you know, later on regret.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't have to prove
Yeah.
it.
Come on, sis. Let's see your hand. Yeah.
No, but I was gonna say, am I being fair?
Are you being fair? That's right, my dear. Do I have the courage to do this?
Do I have the courage to accept?
Yes.
What
Yes.
I discover about myself.
Yes. Yes. How about this one? Am I being real? Have I learned how to be real with me?
Myself.
Because until you be real with yourself, you are just simply deceiving yourself into believing something that's not true. And it's going to come out. Come on here.
Yes,
It's time.
with this covenant, there are quite a few questions we should be asking, because we have to ask the question in order to obey the covenant.
Yes.
Am I recognizing my brothers and sisters as my brothers and sisters? Am I serving my brothers and sisters as being required?
Yes.
That when they're in adversity, assist them when my sisters in trouble, forsake her not.
Yes.
Am I willing to do those things, and do I see the importance of doing those things? Because from it, Allah will continue to help me.
Yes. Yes.
So those are some of the things,
Yes.
and us making a covenant, because we're being asked to do something,
Yes.
and we'll also receive something.
Yes. 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 Here go another one. How do I learn to love somebody that's not showing me love? How do I learn to get along with somebody that's not getting along with me? You understand?
Mhm.
These are penetrating questions that you must ask yourself, because unless you answer certain questions, you are not going to be able to hold on to the agreement.
Exactly.
I got another one, forgiveness.
Yeah, yeah.
Am I able to forgive those that do me wrong?
That come back and do wrong to me
And
again.
allow them to accept my brothers and
Yeah.
sisters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's praise the Lord. You know, teaching me, you know, how to learn to love instead of hate.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Easy to serve a stranger out like hate.
yeah,
You know, and to ask that, what will I have me for? What can I do not to be an enemy,
yeah,
to them, so I can serve them with love.
yeah, yeah. You ever ask yourself, how can I get along with a person that every time you turn around, they're doing something to demean you or to stick you in your back? Give you the impression, this impression like this, but they go behind your back and do that. Now, how do you learn to love? How do you even begin to consider learning to love somebody like
It's like,
that? Come on, Ed.
if I may,
Yes.
that we're being instructed to do this. In order to get to that point,
Yes.
we're being instructed to purify ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
Because with the purity you're putting aside, you know that these things will take place as you're learning about the two selves we have.
Yes.
And then they tell us, and we've been instructed, that the pure heart will love and not demand it in
That's
return.
what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said.
And we've also been reminded that you're gonna have to learn to take something.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So for the ones we talking about that may create difficulties
Yeah.
in our lives, that may be challenging more than others,
Yeah.
purity is gonna be what get us through that.
Yes.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. 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 You know, I was confronted with a situation in the earlier days. And the person was a member of the organization. And a well-known member of the organization. And there came a time when certain things had to be done for the benefit of the organization. And this particular person said to me, I know what you're doing is right, but I just got to do what I got to do. Now, they're saying they have to be opposition even though they know what you're doing is right. A member of the organization, a person who's well known in the organization. How do you deal with that? Come on.
So, praise all the hundred and prophet of the drop trust in Allah. I learned that Allah will fight our battles for us. So we don't have to fight everything. Trust in Allah, quote what the Grand Sheikh said, purify your heart, get all the envy and jealousy and hatred out.
Yes, sir.
So Allah can use you. And it's not going to be easy. We learn that, this carnal nature is a foe that man must fight. And we're going to fight that nature as long as we're in flesh. But the great part about it that helps me is to know that I can trust in Allah. And Allah can do things that's beyond my capability. So when I align myself behind Allah and the Prophet, then a lot of that stuff that comes towards me, doesn't hit me at least as hard because they're in front of me and they take most of the blunt out.
And that's good, that's a good statement. But what about when you're learning to trust him? You haven't got there yet. I'm learning to trust God. What do I do? Because I'm not there yet. But I'm learning to trust him. See, trusting the law is more than just saying I trust the law. You got to learn. Just like you got to learn to love, you got to learn to trust. And in the process of you learning to trust, that's when your challenges come. Now I got to really see where I'm at. Because that's the determining factor. I haven't learned all the way how to trust the law yet. But I'm to a point where I'm right there on the cusp of going this way or going that way. You understand? Come on, my kid. No, not you heard. Yes, ma'am. Didn't you have your hand? Okay, my property.
I'm very sick, if I may ask, at the time you was confronted with that individual, was you the leader?
Yeah.
And if I may ask, if you said expound, how did you handle it?
How did I handle it?
Yeah.
Do you really want to know?
I mean, if
that
you
was
don't care to expound, Grand Chief, I understand.
No, it's okay. It was a moment where you were in conflict. It's a conflicting moment that now you're going to have to show if you are or you are not. See, this is the crisis. This is a turning point. Now I'm within my right to say, you say what? I can go off.
Right.
Or I can try to figure out a way to bite my tongue, stay humble. And now that I'm learning to trust the law, let's see what he does. I got to see what he's going to do now. You know,
Who was that?
Allah. Because this is a step in learning to trust him. You see? But coming from a well-known individual in the organization with history, that's a challenge. Because now look what you're dealing with. I'm the Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I got to be careful. Because if you're not careful, the devil will start getting you to think about votes. Man, I know this person, they have a lot of influence. What you want, you got to be careful. You can't do. So you got to be careful because now the devil comes to try to place restraints on your response or the choice you make to enter into that particular condition.
Well, I remember the time when I first came into the Branch Temple in Darien, Connecticut, and you had the Baltimore boys with Brother R. German Bay. And then you had the DC boys with Brother R. Love Hill. I had attention. See what I'm saying? There was a court battle.
Yeah.
I mean, so you had to put your trust in somebody.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we stood with Brother R. Love Hill. I mean, and that was a challenge, man.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Being in here is a challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's a challenge.
That is
The challenge.
being in here is a challenge. In here.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
That's a challenge.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
You better know it.
Indeed.
Come on, my brother.
It's you know, when we, and all of us have these same examples, whether we recognize it at the moment or not,
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we say antagonists at work
Yes.
in this organization.
Yes.
It's in the book. You gotta make sure we study it. But in there, he's also given us other ways of approaching certain things One, he said you give them a friendly admonition. One, we have to sometimes hear with patience and cure their absurdity.
Yes. Yes.
Then you told me a lesson one time, and you told me about wearing sheep, and you had decided something. I asked you about it. And you told me this. Sometimes you gotta let things play out. See, we talk about trust. Sometimes you gotta let things play out because there are no happy.
Yeah. That's right.
And why not me?
That's right.
Why I'm not supposed to be challenged?
Right.
Why I'm not supposed to be tried?
That's right.
Of course I am.
That's right.
Now, bringing it back to me, I'm gonna now ask myself this question. Well, let me see where you at. You saying you in here, you studying, you practicing. We know you're not perfect, but can you hold? So that's the challenge in these moments.
Yes.
Be consistent in that which is right to the best of your ability. And you did that, because I was there. I remember all that.
Yeah.
And you have. Now sometimes you gotta be just like the prophet is. You gotta be firm. You gotta be firm. You gotta show that you're not gonna be various and wavering. Okay, so you challenge it. Okay, well, we'll see. And you let it play out. Please.
Come on, Sister A.
It's I can recognize with that statement that you said and how if you're not careful,
Yes.
You can be vulnerable to being off the path and start thinking about things that have nothing to do with the reason why you stayed here in the temple, you know, for your own salvation.
Yeah.
Now it's about like, not saying you, but I'm saying just like I can see how it can turn a person where you originally came for good into now it's other things like power or greed or just bitterness.
Yeah.
And it can change.
Yeah.
Depending on how you handle it.
Yeah. Especially if you have not gotten yourself what? Stable.
Founded.
Yeah. Founded. You know? If you haven't asked yourself certain questions.
Yes.
Because there are some things that you will see or that you can see that if you're not careful, it can flip you. Because you become discouraged. Because I'm not in here and I'm not looking for that in here. I'm looking for this in here. But in here, people got lower selves too.
Exactly.
And them lower selves are not all in check. But they stand up and they'll pray with you. They're Islam you. But remember, they're still operating from the finite point of view. Now you, if you're saying I'm growing in this, you have to take the what? The high road. But it's not always easy to go to the high road. Because by many times you're what? Come on now, Jesus told us. Now the question is, what? Do you what? Have the strength. It takes strength to do this.
I'm ready about that.
You can't be a weakling doing this. Therefore, you must consistently ask yourself the question. Am I ready? Come on, my dear. I got you.
I was also going to say that that's why it's important to know that you have control within yourself of what you're able to do, because you can't control others and how they respond.
That's
or
right.
how they act.
That's right.
But you can choose how you respond to it.
That's right.
So
That's
in
right.
that way, you don't feel like defeated or praised because you realize you have that control within yourself.
That's right. That's right. Praise the Lord. Come on, Mom.
Islam. In the call with Sister McGee Bay, she stated you have to know that you have control.
Yeah.
Right? But you stated earlier, you may be in the early stages.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might not know you have control. You know, because sometimes we've been taught to give our control to someone else. So we sitting here like, what I'm gonna do ain't nothing I can do. You know. But what I was thinking about, when you were speaking about the early stages, then you have to go back, like you say, question yourself.
Yeah.
Several questions.
Yeah.
You know, one of them was mentioned earlier, sincerity.
Yeah.
Am I sincere?
Yeah.
Am I real?
Yeah.
Am I really about this?
Yeah.
Do I have the strength?
Yeah.
Do I have, you know, you gotta ask yourself a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And you know, like Brad she said, sometimes you gotta let it play out.
Yeah.
You know, but in the early stages, as a baby, in the More Science Simple of America, you know, you might not have that firm foundation.
Yeah.
You know, we've been taught, you know, to build a firm foundation so you have something to stand on.
Yeah.
If you don't have that firm foundation, you're gonna be shaky.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna be shaky and you're gonna be easily pushed off, you know?
Yeah.
And so praise Allah. That's what I thought about when you were speaking about the early stages.
Yeah.
I have to question myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do I do in a situation like this?
Yeah.
You know, do I act out
Yeah.
and bring embarrassment?
Yeah.
Do I hold? Do I have the strength?
Yeah.
You know, peace.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, come on.
For me,
Yeah.
it's not, I just want to throw another thing out I haven't heard, is patience.
Yeah. You gotta have faith.
We got to have patience. We know we try our best and things don't go the way we want right then and there. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And we got to have patience. That we have to have patience to know if we keep trying, that's how you build up strength and courage.
Yeah.
And not give up so easily.
Yeah.
You know, I always hold on that Allah has a plan for all of us.
Yeah.
On an individual basis and stuff. And that's where my trust come in too.
Yeah.
Trust that Allah has a plan for me. If I stay on the path, if I have patience, if I keep on pushing myself, right? And draw strength from his teaching, from his love, it will be revealed sooner or later.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Mama.
So, I was thinking about, what I was called here to do. And what I was called here to do. You know, you said a lot of my brothers have said a lot of things, I can't neglect it nor forget, you know what I'm saying, my mission, what I came here to do, be a more Samaritan, to learn, to study, to link myself with brothers and sisters who can, I can tie myself around to, that I can see we're going the right way. You know what I'm saying? That direction. It's about the movement. You know what I'm saying? That, I have that in front of me. I have a path. Don't talk about the prophet and all that, but I have the moderator, I have the national leadership. I'm a chairman here. And a national leadership. You know what I'm saying? Now, can I go ahead and take this process? You know what I'm saying? And through my study, seeing how they are in positions, so I can go.
Yeah. But and I appreciate that, but I also want to bring this to your attention. It's how you see the prophet.
That's it. That's it.
It's how you see the thought. That's a determining factor. How do you see the prophet? Don't look at the man. Look at the thought. And then try to visualize the thought manifesting. Because it's easy to get caught up on a person. And when that person no longer meets your expectations, that can be devastating.
That's true.
You don't want to look at the person. Look at the manifested thought. that is expressed by the person. See if you can associate the thought that you saying being expressed with your concept of the prophet.
That's right.
That way you don't get caught up on the person.
It's not.
Because the person, remember, is fighting itself too. And sometimes his lower self, which is strong, can grab hold and he can escape from himself and perceive of not how. And if you're looking at the person, man, that can be hurtful. Man, you the head of the movement. How can you do that? But you totally disregarded the fact that the head of the movement got a lower self too. And it's strong too. So don't let the person derail your progress. Always look for the manifestation of the thought of the prophet. That's what you focus on. And the only way that you can identify it is if you familiarize yourself with his ways.
It's not.
That's it.
You got to familiarize yourself with the ways of the prophet. You got to imitate it. Because when you imitate the prophet, then you know him when you see him. You understand? And I'm saying this because watch yourself. It's easy to get caught up on a person because you see the physical manifestation. But remember, this is an illusion.
That's it.
Look at the thought. Look at the thoughts that's expressed. And say, wait a minute, is that how I see prophet Noble Juan? Can I see the prophet doing that? Can I hear the prophet saying that?
Come on.
You got to examine with care. And fix not suddenly. Because on your present choice depends what? Your future happiness.
That's
Come on here.
It's, you know, you said something earlier in your delivery as it related to something we all can, and most of us did, coming to the organization for whatever drew us in. And we was looking for things to be here.
Yeah.
We came in here, most of us, hearing about the Moorish Science Temple of America, and we had this concept that, oh, everything in here gonna be just heaven. Everything in here gonna be just laid out. Everything in here gonna be just smooth and easy. Until we saw what you said, the realness of it. And realized that it's not like that. People in here striving. People in here working on themselves. All of us don't come out meetings every week. All of us don't get a chance to pay all of the dues and cents. All of us are learning how we can obey the law.
That's right.
That lower self is still pulling at everybody. And so that facade that we have created in our minds of what the Moorish Science of America is, the reality is you've seen it and many of us have seen it on different levels. And that's important that the Grand Sheik is saying you cannot look at man, you got to look at the prophet and see if what's being done matches up with him. We will be truth and falsehood strangely mixed. We'll manifest that, and we'll be in constant in here.
Yes.
We'll escape ourselves. Many of us have seen it too many times. It ain't got nothing to do with your rank or view. He said the high and the low, the rich and the poor, the wise and the ignorant. So when we in here, don't keep looking at me acting like Chase Hill. You supposed to be straight. I'm trying to get straight. Come on. So we got to make sure we're working on ourselves and what about the weakness that I have, it's gonna take you to come on and say, come on, brother Chase.
Yeah.
We gotta help each other.
Yeah.
That's right. Come on.
So this is about the purpose, and don't forget the purpose, and that is for the uplifting of humanity. And the prophet is the pattern.
That's right.
That's right.
We got one pattern in this era of time.
That's right.
A blessing that we got in our literature is that he gave us the life of Jesus.
That's right. Come on.
And when we study, we'll learn Jesus had to go through a whole lot. He said buffeting of every kind.
That's right.
So we got to remember these things when we're applying it to our own selves, and we're not putting people up on a pedestal as though they're not going to ever be wrong or never make a mistake. When you the so-and-so, okay. But that came through a vote that people had last year. I might not have been quite ready for that. But the point is, we strive, so we continue to work on ourselves, and we got to stay open to those types of things because our own is perfect. So we want to keep that in mind as we on this journey together.
That's right.
So yeah, Glenn giving us a great lesson, and it really does get back to the point of self-examination.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Come on, baby.
That's not wrong. What I found out in this movement is that I got to hold the thought.
Yeah.
You know, you got to hold the thought because if you're traveling through this thing may manifest, it's going to be 1,000 thoughts rushing in 1,000 times at a time.
Yeah.
And then we might forget our task, what we set out to do. We have a foundation, but we're not holding the thought. You hold the thought. The thought is the cause of it all.
Yeah.
So we want to hold the thought, practice that. You would think of it, but in a second it's gone.
Yeah.
So we got to practice on holding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hot thought.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 Come on, raise it
It's
up.
not in the end, Brother Smith, baby. You know, I may not forget it along the way, I just may neglect it a little due to the distraction.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The thought is still there, but I may neglect it slightly. Because the mark is, you know, you don't want to forget the mark. I mean, you try to stay focused as possible. But due to, like he said, all the thousands rushing in at the time,
Yeah.
you may neglect it a little on the way.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
And that's right. You know, but you know, the more consistent
That's it.
that you are in your practice, when that moment does come, it does not take you as long to regroup.
Okay.
You see, remember, the speedy reparations.
That's what he said.
See, you can make that speedy reparation. That reparation before you make it is not elongated. And you find yourself creating more of a condition that will offer you the experience so that perhaps you may be able to avoid that in your future endeavors. You understand?
Yes, sir. Stay on the path.
Stay on the path.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's nothing to be ashamed of if you fail.
It's not. It's not.
You see?
Yes.
Because I have read someplace where they said Jesus himself for a moment forgot.
Exactly.
For a moment, there was a challenge that caused him to, for a moment, forget.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
So it's not out of the ordinary that from time to time we forget ourselves. But the key is, can I make that speedy reparation? And look, and now this becomes a challenge. Because now, your lower self will say that momentary lapse in your practice is okay. It's all right. You ain't perfect. But since you are in that momentary lapse, why don't you try this? I mean, you already lapsed. Now he'll go to the book and he'll say, don't play the fool by half. just go ahead and stretch on out. You understand? But that's all coming from within you.
Every chance he get, he gonna interject.
He has to, Mom.
In that moment, like you said, that moment that you lapse, that's where he trying to interject.
More.
You know what I mean?
That's when you're vulnerable to suggestion. You're vulnerable to certain thoughts that you used to entertain, that you still hold, but you have found some strength to suppress it. But remember, it's what you used to like to do. It arouses a certain appetite. And that appetite can become very influencing the longer you give it or the longer you entertain it.
Yeah.
See, the longer that thought can keep you entertained, the more you create the condition that you must experience.
Yeah.
It's not progression. That appetite you talk about. You know, I got my axe. I'm chopping at it.
Yeah.
But I just ain't cut it all the way
Well,
off.
you ain't got the root yet.
Yeah.
But at least look, you are making an attempt to remove it from your brain.
I'm chopping at
At least you fighting, Mom.
Yeah.
But that's the whole key. You know, we are addressing the issue. You know, we're not just letting it go
Right.
by saying, well, it's all right. And stop, and then the words come to you, well, man, it's truth and falsehood. Strange. He can't be all good, and he can't be all bad. So it's not wrong if you slip sometime, because you ain't perfect anyway. And now and look, now you start giving some thought to that. Well, that is right, I ain't perfect. Well, maybe I can.
That's the symptom.
That's the tempter, Mom. That's the tempter.
You use Jesus as an example. We gotta remember, even Jesus had to wrestle.
Yes, he did.
You know, that when his tempter came, it wasn't no automatic conversation. He tempted him with 3 different things in that period.
Yeah.
Then he had to wrestle with him for 40 days.
Yeah.
That's a lifetime for most of us.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to look at that realistically, that Jesus didn't have it easy.
That's right.
He didn't have it easy.
That's right.
He had to fight,
That's right.
and he had to hold.
That's right. And you know what too is? We find out that he did not desire it to be easy.
Exactly.
You know, because it also says in the book that he, if I'm not mistaken, that he would meet the strongest foe.
Exactly.
You know?
And also, he wanted to note his strength and work.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yes.
I think both of the system of key babies had their hands.
Yeah, I got it. Which one was first in?
I saw Sister T would be very first.
Sister T.
Okay, let me see if I held the thought.
Good stuff.
I was gonna ask, but I was gonna ask, do you think like the foundation was set for individuals when they're younger? It's just like choices that we chose kind of got us off our original foundation?
That's a good question. That's a good question. You know, you can have I'll use myself for example. My grandmother set my foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But my challenges and my influences caused me to leave the foundation.
Right.
You know, my choice caused me to leave the foundation. But the foundation was set.
Yeah.
Which makes it easier for you to accept the prophet's teaching.
Now, because I understand it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was going on in the earlier stages of my growth because the world was so appealing to me.
Yeah.
It was exciting. I never did this, I never seen this kind of stuff before, right? And it was very enticing. You know, and as I ventured into the Vanity Fair, I got caught up in the illusion. And the next thing I know, I was creating the illusion within the illusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come on, Sister A. McGee, baby.
You lost it.
No, I didn't use it. It was just more like one statement that you said about, well, man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be used not only as like a pass,
Yes.
but also to rationalize like
Yes.
that behavior
Yes.
continuously.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to avoid the shame.
To avoid the shame. That's right. Well, that's right.
That's right.
That's good insight.
Yeah.
Islam.
All praise to Allah and all the prophet. So you speak on the foundation. This was sent to me in '93. I was locked up.
Right.
My brother sent it to me.
Right.
I looked at it and put it down. I didn't touch it no more.
Yeah.
I came home in '95. '98. We was a assistant grand chief. We were the man chief. I joined the temple in '98.
Great.
Temple 71.
Yeah.
I got hurt in 2000. Went to Virginia, got him. Came home in 2011. Came back to the chapel.
Right.
I drive 2 hours from Virginia to here,
Right.
come to the chapel.
Right.
So everything that I've been reading and studying myself, look high self and low self,
Right.
the prophet is telling me something that helping me keep striving to come to the temple every day.
Yeah.
And I can make it.
Praise the Lord.
So it's a blessing to know that you have brothers and sisters that really helping you understand what the prophet was from God.
Praise the Lord.
So the foundation is a real thing. You don't got its foundation, you know.
That's true. That's a true.
Brains out.
We gotta go to the Koran, but wait a minute before we go any further. I gotta make a correction on something you said. I have never had the privilege or the honor to be the assistant grand chief.
Shit.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
So like, yeah,
Brains out.
praise the Lord. Yeah. The divine instructions from going to the Holy Quran. The divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 25, Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation. We spoke about this briefly. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. That means that we have something
In common.
in common. There is something that we have in common. What do we have in common? One father and what? One mother. So, one father, one mother, we have that in common, and so therefore that makes us what? Brothers and sisters. It's very important that we start to focus on the word brother and sister, and not take for granted that we know what it means. Don't take that word for granted because we've heard it so often. But you must be able to recognize your brother and your sister. How do you recognize your brother and sister? By way of, come on.
I recognize my brothers and sisters through my religion. You understand? You can't, you know, if I'm a Moors, I'm talking Islam. So when the brother talk about he's my brother or my sister, we can dialogue. We can dialogue. But if you one of the ones that stay out of cast out the old city of Memphis. You understand? And following those teachings, I would consider you. You're not my brother, man. You a stranger.
You will know your brother. Come on, dear.
Islam, I would say you would know by their principles and their morals.
That's
Because
right.
I have brothers and sisters that's outside of my religion.
That's right.
Also outside of my ethnicity, everything. So I would think more so on principles and morals.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Come on, brother. Come on. Bunch back.
It's no more a way of human family.
Okay. All right. Also, by way of the relationship.
That's right.
Because there is a relationship that binds us together. Though that relationship is comprised of principles. Remember, you can be sitting next to an individual who came in the temple with you and who pray like you and who recite the divine constitution and bylaws like you, but they can be a stranger. And a stranger is identified because he does not what? He does not follow.
Yeah.
And how would you know he's not following? By the observation of his principles. Those are not the principles of the prophet.
No.
Come on, Mom.
Islam, and to reiterate the point, as you stated that they could be sitting right in here.
Yeah,
See, we can't say people are following the prophet because they're in here.
that's right.
But they got internal affairs.
That's right.
That don't mean they following the prophet.
That's right.
People being here be doing things they got nothing to do with what the Most High said about.
That's right. That's right.
He teaches us that there are antagonists at work and that he got some dirty morals.
That's right.
So we got to be able to recognize, as the sister said, through the principle, through their
Yes.
character,
Yes.
and through those who are doing what the prophet is striving.
That's
What
right.
the prophet has
That's right.
instructed us to
That's
do.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. See, you know, you can identify. Remember, that's why I told, that's why I shared with you. Look for the expression of the thought.
Yes. Yes.
But you must have a conception of what the prophet is to you. How do you see him? How do I see Prophet Noble? And when you say Prophet Noble, you got to go beyond the picture.
That's right.
Don't stop at the picture. Learn to identify the thought. Then you will see him manifest in the flesh. And I can see the prophet manifest. So if I can see the prophet manifesting in you, then I know this. If I'm allowing him to manifest in me, I can identify the relationship.
Come on, man. Come on. Come on.
I see it. I see, and it's not that you're judging anybody.
No, true.
You're just attuning your being in tune with the thought.
That's right.
Eel, then I got Eel.
No, I'm just.
Come on, Eel.
Islam. And also to add to that, according to this chapter,
Yes.
we got Asiatic brothers and sisters.
Yes.
That's not in the temple.
Yes.
That's unconscious.
Yes.
That don't act like a brother or sister.
Yes.
So, according to this chapter here,
Yes.
the Asiatic nation,
Yes.
we got unconscious and conscious brothers and sisters.
Yes. 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 But you know what? You can be unconscious, but still be an acceptor or a lover of Jesus.
It's right. It's true.
You may be unconscious of who you are,
Right.
but that's not affecting my love for Jesus. And therefore, the prophet has stated, some of my best Moors are still in the church.
Which in that term is your brother and sister.
There's no question.
It's just they don't recognize it due to their doctrine and our doctrine. But
Right. Yeah. But see, the doctrine should not be the determining factor.
Yeah, because the truth don't change.
It don't change.
So,
I got you, James. Let me get.
Yeah, I think
Come on.
that's something that, as we're talking about consciousness,
Yeah,
we have to remember, you're not conscious because you walk in here.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
You have to come into consciousness. That's part of your practice. That's part of your unfolding. That's part of you seeing your God.
Yeah.
We have to come into the consciousness. Didn't Jesus said he left the wilderness in the consciousness?
Yeah.
that's what
Yes.
he said.
If he left it in the consciousness, he wasn't there when he went in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we gotta look at all of that.
Yes.
You don't just automatically walk in here and all of a sudden you conscious.
Yeah.
We call everybody else unconscious.
Yeah.
That's right.
Come on, James.
Okay, well, you saying all that, it just made me think about one thing. It was one section in the Quran said, establish to thyself principles of acting, see that ever happen before.
Yes.
So then that trash, do that ties to what you say.
It certainly does.
Praise God.
Come on, Mom. It's fun. Because it took me, Brother Tracy said that, you know, we all don't see a lot alike.
Right.
You know, it took me right there. You know, brothers and sisters, you know, different points of view.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can tell that, brother. You know what I'm saying? By the principle, like the sisters, what you may say, by the principle that get established.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it hit you because you reflecting those same principles.
Yeah.
You know, you can relate. You know, okay, I can see that.
Yeah. But that's providing that you are principled yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can't recognize it if you're not
No.
it. Because you don't know it when you see it, because you're not being what you know.
That's right.
Hey, babe, the sister had her
The
name.
sister has.
Sister
Yes,
next
ma'am.
to Brother Jackson there.
Yes, ma'am.
When he was speaking about Jesus, I used to go to a house of worship where they worship Jesus. It was Jesus based. But when I come here, I don't see too much of a difference of the way you see Jesus, the way people in church see Jesus.
Praise God.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right, sister. That's right.
Sure.
That's right. That's right. That's cool.
Because we love Jesus. I see. I see.
That is it. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. What's important in that? Well, the whole statement is important. But what's one of the important factors in that statement that you can identify?
Peace and happiness.
Affection. Say it. What did you say?
Bonds of
The bonds. Remember, the first statement. Let the what? Bonds of affection. So that means that bond is very important. Because once the bonds of affection have been established, then there's a sequence of events that take place. Because now I can start to understand peace and happiness.
Right.
But without the bond of affection, how can I understand peace and happiness? So what is the bond? What is that bond? It makes up the Holy Covenant. But what is the bond of affection? What is the bond of affection? The what? The love. Learn to what? Love. In loving your brother and sister, you establish the bond. You can't understand affection if you don't understand the bond. How you gonna have affection and you don't know love? When affection is a extension of love.
So you basically saying you supposed to agree, even though you think you're accepting the bond, that they are your brothers and sisters. So you saying you supposed to agree with something that you're not
No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that that bond, which is love, shows you how to deal
right
with those who may not be performing in a principled way. See, the key is don't hate them. Don't dislike them. Let that bond cause you to serve your near of kin, those who are no kin, the stranger at your gate, and the foe who seeks to do you harm. That's one of the reasons the bond is so important.
Exactly.
Come here.
Good. You know, I'm gonna give a little example. I think all of us have experienced this in our life at some point, perhaps. Many of us been around. You know how you had several friends, and especially coming up, and you know, they were all different in their own way. And it was always that one that was we used to categorize as them being kind of wild. And a lot of people might not have liked it.
Right.
But you and that person was always all right. And people would talk about it, but y'all had a bond. And no matter what, they always, you know, bonded with you. They always liked you. They would do things other people they wouldn't even think about trying to do with you. Because of that bond. And as you said, you don't have to agree with them. And sometimes they'll listen to you when you tell them, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Why you do that? Why did you take that? And put that back. Whatever it is. But the point is, they would oftentimes at least listen to you.
Yeah.
Everybody didn't have that relationship with them.
Right.
So that's part of it, even for the ones that you can easily relate to and have a friendship with and build on.
Yeah.
Y'all unifying that way, or the one that seems to always be a little bit more challenging, but they still like you anyway.
Yeah.
I just said that.
Yeah. A little more challenge. Come on.
Islam. I'm gonna read from the Moorish literature.
Yeah.
Second to the last paragraph of Moorish leaders' historical message to America.
Yeah.
And it says, look for the best in others and give them the best that is in you. Have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. Brighten the hopes of youth in order that their courage be increased today and do wondrous things. Adhere at all times to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am your affectionate leader. I shall continue to labor day and night, both in public and in private, for your good. And when you was just basically explaining like the affection and the relation, and then earlier in the conversation you said the expression of the prophet. Look for the expression. And when you talk about the bonds of affection, you know, the prophet, if you paying attention to his expression, he loved us even when he even said, you know, I have some good Moors and I have some dirty Moors.
Yeah.
You know, the Moors are hard-headed, stiff-necked, mean set of people, which has never done anything but the point of a sword. It's a lot of things the prophet has said that let you to show you through his own example of that bond of affection, because he worked day and night in public and in private for us to make sure he get established, you know, what we need to uplift all the humanity. And that's that bond that the prophet, you know, that I'm learning the prophet expressed through his own actions, how much he loved us, even though so many things we was doing at that time of the prophet. He had to issue the warning, stop flashing cars of Europeans. It caused confusion because we was cutting up. You know, so you know that shows how much the prophet he actually lived that. You know, he lived it to a T.
Yes. And remember too, Lord, and that's a good point, because remember when he said, when he was doing his travel, and he traveled in the south, and he said it's the work of our people, our people,
That's right.
that continue to practice those things that bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect. And you're right, and after all that, we still love it.
Sure.
So that is something about that bond that's important.
It's love. And to bring out another one of the prophets, affection, expression of affection towards when he had the conversation with the president, and the president was telling him
Right.
that, you know, you can't get
What we put in.
right. And the prophet said, I still want.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Come on, James.
Okay, too, you might help me out with it a little bit more, but I can say one thing. He brought us the Koran, he brought us the questionnaire, and he brought us our nationality.
Yeah.
That's part of affection right there.
It's
You know? And then what he said when he was talking about when he brought us all these things, what you want me to do? Kill you? You see what I'm saying? Peace, Mo.
Please.
That's a big covenant. What are you trying to describe? What he's doing? What we got to do? That's a big jump. Big jump. To accept.
Peace.
Wow.
Islam.
Islam.
Thank God for Margaret, more time, Margaret. Real. Send the school for long, man. That's the kid coming here. Get something to carry back out with you. Up here along the way. At this time, President Lake, I'm calling out Nat. Chad.
Islam.
Islam.
Give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe, honor to his holy prophet, Noble Dua Ali, and honor to everything Chile gave honor to the opening of the meeting, honor to each and every one of you. Friday, January 15, 1929, Prophet warned all Muslims government ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law, as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card, button, cease wearing their turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found them. This is a holy and divine movement, founded by the prophet Nabi. If the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Muslims that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins by order of prophet Nabi. Peace.
Islam.
Allah the Father universe.
Allah the Father universe.
Father love.
Father love.
Truth.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Through Ali. Amen.
Are there anyone here